Good morning. So this is going to be a mixed level yoga class specifically for low back issues. And so you can choose to start your practice sitting in a chair like I'm doing right now, or you can start on the floor sitting. So we're all going to start sitting, and we will need some props today. So you'll see I have a blanket. Let me move my chair. We have a blanket. And I don't think you can see my block and my strap, but we could use a block and a yoga strap. So if you have all those things, go ahead and gather them before you start. And then the only difference, the only thing we're going to do differently is at some point, anyone who is on the floor will lay down and we'll just do the same thing. People on the floor will do, I think it's knees to chest and maybe windshield wipers, and we'll just do that in the chair. So I will teach the first part, the warm up from the chair, and then we'll all do the same thing. And so this is going to be focused on low back. It's going to be about an hour class. And please just go at your own pace. If your back is bothering you, just pay attention and just kind of move slowly and gently. And if you've been doing yoga for any amount of time, you know that it's all about listening to your body. So take a minute and gather your materials, and we'll get started in just a few minutes. All right. So as I mentioned, we're going to be doing this as a mixed level today. And if you're on the floor, you may want to have a blanket nearby, especially if you're having low back issues. Let me just show you what we're going to do with the blanket if you're on the floor, because we will start sitting today. You want to fold your blanket so this looks like about maybe 3 inches. And then you'll sit forward on the blanket. Don't sit in the middle of the blanket. That's not too helpful. What you want to do is slide forward so your knees come down, your legs come down, you open up your hips. That's what the blanket is for. And then we also have our block and our strap. May or may not use them. It's there if you need it, and I will refer to them now and then. So I'm going to come into the chair. I'm going to do the warm up in the chair, and then we'll all join together when we stand up. So go ahead and get settled on the floor or in your chair. Sorry about all the shifting around here. All right. So if you're in a chair, slide forward. And just either way, if you're on the floor or in the chair, you're sitting up nice and tall. You're holding your belly in lightly. No effort yet. We're not putting any effort into this. It's just good posture. Let your hands rest on your thighs. Find your breath, because you know it's there. Close your eyes and let yourself start to settle. Relaxing your face, your neck and your shoulders. And allowing that sensation to move through your body with every exhale, relaxing more, softening more, and letting go of anything outside the room that you're in. Just breathe. Now let's take 2 more mindful breaths. And then you can keep your eyes closed if you like for the first few warm-up poses. Let's start by bringing our arms out to the sides with palms facing up. Squeeze your shoulder blades lightly. And imagine you're creating a sacred circle of energy around yourself. As you inhale, raise your arms up, and exhale, palms together and down to your heart. And take a breath or two here. And again, keeping your eyes closed if you like, hands on your thighs, and then just start to move your head in some nice slow circles, easy, slow circles. And you might try inhaling as your head comes up and exhaling as your head comes down. Feeling your neck, your shoulders, feeling your throat. One more time in this direction. And when you're ready, reverse your circles. Inhaling up, exhaling down. One more time. And then when your head comes up to neutral, pause there and take a breath or two. And then go ahead and bring your arms down by your sides again. And if you're on the floor, your hands can face in or out. It doesn't matter. We're just going to roll our shoulders. Nice and easy, nice and slow. We're starting very slow and gentle today. We will do a little work, but we're mostly focused on relaxing. You know, if your low back hurts, it's not just your low back. There's a lot that's connected to your low back. So we want to soften as much as we can, as many places as we can. So right now we're softening our shoulders and our chests and our upper backs. Easy flow. And then reverse your shoulder rolls. And then bring both shoulders forward so you let your chest sink in slightly and you feel your shoulder blades spread apart just a little bit. And then inhale, shoulders come up by your ears. Exhale, press your shoulder blades down your back and squeeze them together just a little bit. They don't come together very closely, but you can feel that sensation of bringing your shoulder blades in towards each other. You're arching your back just a little. If you feel that in your low back, you're working too hard, so relax. Work on your upper back. And then from here, turn your palms so they face up. Inhale up and exhale down to your heart. And relax. And now we're going to move into spinal rotations, and that's going to start to warm up your torso, your sides, and a little bit of your low back. And so you might start moving to the right. I tend to always start on the right side just because it's easier to remember. No science behind it. It's just helpful for a brain that gets too busy sometimes. So move into the right, to the front, to the left, and back up. And again, if you want to pace yourself with your breath, you're inhaling as you come up, exhaling as you come down. So if your back is hurting you today, if it's really not feeling good at all, just be gentle with yourself and do what you can. And you might just do the warm up today. That might be all you want to do. That's okay. One more time in this direction. And then when you're ready, reverse. So now you're going to the left, to the front, to the right, and back up. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Let's do that one more time. And this time when you come up to neutral, pause. Slide your hands down toward your knees, relax your shoulders, and then round your back very gently. So you're pushing your torso, the front of your body, towards your spine. Very gentle cat pose. And if you're feeling fine today and you've got more flexibility and more ability here, go ahead and find your cat pose. You want to find the Goldilocks zone, the perfect, just right place where your body loves it, feels good. And then we're going to do a gentle cow pose. Inhale up and exhale. Arch your back, press your belly forward, shoulder blades down your back, lift your chest. So there's a lot going on here, but you can modify it so that it feels right for you. Breathe into it. And now let's do that 5 times with our breath. Inhaling to neutral, exhaling to cat pose. Inhale, neutral, exhale, cow. Inhale, exhale. And just follow your breath 3 more times. One more of each pose. After your next cow pose, bring yourself back to neutral. Relax your shoulders, your arms, your back, your sides. Just take a breath or 2. And then roll your shoulders a couple times, just keeping everything nice and loose, keeping the fluids moving through your body, synovial fluids in your joints, lymphatic fluids through your lymph system. Just keep your body moving, even if it's very gentle movements. Now we're going to do some bigger stretches, a side stretch and a spinal twist. So with your right hand on your thigh, lift your left arm up, reach it up, and lean to the right. So if you're on the floor, if you're on your mat, your hand can be on the floor. You can also use your block here if you like. So that's always an option. Right now we're lengthening the left side, making a little space between our ribs, between your shoulder and your hip. And this is where we start to feel that connection between the upper body and the lower body. On your next inhale, release your left arm down. And then as you exhale, raise your right arm up and lean to the left. And take a few breaths. We're holding for about 5 breaths. One more breath. And again, on an inhale, release your right arm down. This time as you exhale, roll your shoulders again, just a few times, just keeping everything loose. And next is spinal twist. So you want to have your legs facing forward. You notice I brought my legs in a little farther. Now that's if you're in the chair, your legs face forward. If you're cross-legged on the floor, you don't need to do anything else with your legs. Just sit up tall. And then from that nice strong foundation, rotate from the waist to the right side. Letting your hands rest wherever they land. You're going to feel this in your belly, your sides, and your back. And so this might be the first time you feel this in your low back. So breathe into it. One more breath. Then on your next inhale, slowly come back to center and take your time, move into the left, allowing your back to adjust, never forcing anything. Breathe. Always finding your breath once you get into a pose. One more breath. And then slowly come back to center and roll your shoulders again. All right. So if you're on your mat, if you're sitting on your mat, you can lay down on your back. We're going to do knees to chest and windshield wipers next. And we can still do that in the chair. If we're in the chair, though, we want to slide back. So go ahead and get yourself settled. And if you're on your mat, there's no difference in the instruction. So basically, we're bringing the right knee up towards our chest. So if you can get down on the floor, this is really, really helpful for your low back. It's also helpful here in the chair. You just can't get your leg up as far. And this is also a good time to use a strap. Strap helps. You're not working so hard to hold on to your leg. This strap gives you some extra length here. So either way, you can use the strap or not. And then straighten your right leg. Press into your heel. Feel the back of your leg stretching out. And then release. And now we'll switch sides. So bring your left leg up towards your chest. Simple pose. Sometimes it's the simple movements that make the biggest difference. And then when you're ready, straighten your left leg up, out and up. So if you're on the floor, your legs are going to be facing up toward, your leg is going to be facing up towards the ceiling. And release. Release your strap. And then if you're on the floor, your knees are bent, your feet are on the floor. If you're in the chair, go ahead and slide forward just a little bit. And we're going to do our windshield wipers next. So on the floor, your legs are moving side to side. You have a little bit more space for doing this. In the chair, we just have to really kind of work with where we are. So my hands are on my legs and I'm just moving side to side. And what we're doing is we're warming up our hip joints, inner thighs, which is all connected to your back and your belly. Just moving your legs side to side. The next time your legs come to the right side, pause there. They don't need to touch the floor. They don't need to go far. Just notice when you start to feel a stretch in your left hip, maybe your inner right thigh. Breathe into it. And then on an inhale, come back to neutral and an exhale to the left. And so for me right now, it feels like I have less stability to the left. So I'm just honoring that. I'm not going to try to move that left leg out any farther. One more breath. And then slowly come back to center. And let's just take a minute here. Find our breath again. So that was a 20-minute warm-up. So if that feels like enough to you, this is a good time to just relax and kind of carry on with whatever you can do today. Otherwise, if you want to stay with us, we're going to go ahead and stand up and we're going to come around behind our chairs or standing in a wide position on our mats. So if you're using a chair, you'll want to move your chair off to the side. And we're going to start in a wide stance. Adjust this again. We're just going to start with some arm swings. So you can face your chair if you like, if you're using the chair, or you can turn sideways. You're in a semi-wide stance and you're just swinging your arms, tapping your sides, tapping your back. I'm not playing music today. I don't know if you're hearing, if you are used to hearing the music, but usually it doesn't come through very well. So we're not having any music today. Tapping your sides, tapping your back. This should feel really good to your back, to your sides. And then reach up and tap your chest. A little higher on your back if you can, but don't stress. And then down around your hips. Easy flow, easy taps. And then start to slow down. And when your hands come down to your hips, tap the sides of your hips. Bend your knees slightly. Keep your head and your torso up as you bend your knees and reach down around your knees and pat back up. And let's do that 2 more times. Hips, sides of your thighs, knees, back up. One more time. All right. And then just pat anywhere you want to around your pelvis. All right. And then let's come back to mountain pose. Or come to mountain pose. We haven't been there yet. Now we got some energy moving in our legs. We're going to do some knee circles and some hip circles. So for knee circles, we're in mountain pose, which is basically standing with your legs, your ankles lined up with your hips. And then bend your knees slightly, hands on your thighs, and then make some small circles with your knees. So this takes a lot of concentration. You want to try to keep your feet flat because they want to come up. Since everything is connected, they want to get in on the action. But we are grounding ourselves, reminding our bodies that it's okay. Everything is okay. And now reverse these knee circles, go the other way. And then gradually bring yourself back to neutral and come on back up to mountain pose. Relax your arms, feel your legs. And then we'll take a little wider stance for hip circles. So just step your feet out so you're in a comfortable wide stance. So you might call this shoulder width apart, because your feet, your ankles are about as wide as your shoulders. Hands on your hips, and then we're just making circles with our hips. And again, you may feel this in your low back. So just move gently. And we're still in the warm-up phase. We're just warming our legs up. Lower bodies, hips, lower belly. And now reverse your circles. And then gradually bring yourself back to neutral again, relaxing your arms down by your sides, taking a couple breaths. All right, so now we're going to enter into the work phase of our class, and we're going to start with a balancing movement. A bird spreads its wings. So if you need to come off of your mat, or if you need to be near a wall, go ahead and move around your room. We start in mountain pose, just a little wider than mountain pose, somewhere between mountain pose and wide stance. And we're shifting our weight over to the left side as we raise our arms up. Backs of your hands face each other. I'm going to back up just so you can see. Backs of your hands face each other. Okay. And then arms come down and we shift to the right. Inhale up, backs of your hands face. Exhale down, shift to the left. My chair's in the way. So adjust any way you need to. So we start with the arms, just moving side to side as we lift our arms. And this is Qigong. You won't find this in any yoga book. Sometimes they can get a little bit mixed up. I can get a little mixed up because I love Qigong, I love yoga, and they kind of go together really well. So one more time, just your arms. And then bring your arms down. And now shift to the left. Ground yourself on your left foot. Bring your arms up and bring your right toe to the floor. And just pause right there. And then shift your weight to the right. Arms come down. As you inhale, arms come up. Bring your left toe to the floor, big toe. We're going to do that 4 more times. So if you like, when we shift again, see if you can lift your right foot off the floor, or you can keep your big toe on the floor. Shifting back to the right. Left foot comes up. Shift to the left. Toe on the floor, right toe on the floor, or lift your foot. It's better if you're not looking at the screen while you're doing this. We're going to do that 1 more time on each side. And then once you come back to mountain pose, roll your shoulders, move around, stand any way you want to stand. Okay. So next, we are going to move into a chair flow. So this is where you can use the chair if you like, if you have a chair nearby. When we come into airplane pose, your hands can be on the chair or out to the sides. When we come into forward fold, you can use a block or your chair. So those are the props you might use here. We start in mountain pose, and if you're using a chair, you're facing the chair. Okay. And then we inhale, raising our arms up. Exhale, lean back slightly, and then lift your arms and lift your chest. So you can see it's not a big back bend. We're not trying to get way back. That's not helpful. That doesn't matter. What matters is lengthening your spine up towards the ceiling. Take a few breaths here. We're strengthening our back muscles, strengthening our core. Next is airplane pose. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, airplane pose. You're hinging at the hips, holding your belly in and keeping your knees soft. So this is your traditional airplane pose. You can also have your hands on your hips or your chair. So we're only coming down halfway. Again, strengthening your back. And then forward fold is next. So again, options, hands on your thighs, hands on your block, hands on the chair. But basically, we're just coming down a little farther. Letting your upper body drop down. And you can feel this in your low back for sure. It's a nice, deep, long stretch. One more breath. Before you come up, bend your knees, bring your hands to your thighs, lift your chest, your knees stay bent and your belly stays pulled in. And now again, options, your hands can be on your hips or out in front of you for chair pose. And now we're strengthening our legs and our core. So hold your belly in. And then we're going to come back up to mountain pose. As you inhale, lift up, exhale, palms together and down to your heart. Relax your shoulders. So I gave a lot of detailed instructions on that sequence. We're going to do it 2 more times, and I'm not going to talk as much. So listen to your body. It's only 4 poses. When you're ready, inhale up, exhale back, lift your chest. Find your breath. One more breath. And then lift up to neutral. And as you exhale, hinge at the hips into airplane pose. Knees are soft. That's very important. Knees are soft and belly is pulled in. On your next exhale, come all the way down as far as you can into forward fold, using your block or your thighs. One more breath. Before you come up, be sure to bend your knees because you want to use your thigh muscles to help yourself up. Hands on your thighs as you lift your torso, keep your knees bent, and find your chair pose. And then on your next inhale, lift up, exhale, palms together, down to your heart, back to mountain pose. Take a couple breaths. And now one more time. When you're ready, inhale, exhale, lean back, lift your chest, press your chest up towards the ceiling, pressing from your upper back into your chest. One more breath. And then inhale as you come up to neutral. Exhale into airplane pose. So another option here for your arms is to let your hands rest on your low back or on your hips. And now on your next exhale, forward fold. One more breath. Remember to bend your knees, bring your hands to your thighs, lift your chest. You can feel your thigh muscles start to work, hold your belly in, and then decide where you want your arms for chair pose. And then when you're ready, inhale all the way up. Exhale, palms together, down to your heart. And rest. All right, so shake your arms, shake your legs, move around. We're making a little transition here. We're going to do some cats and cows. We can do it from a standing position. If you haven't done that before, you can still do it from a standing position, or you can come down on your hands and knees if you prefer that on the floor. And then we're going to do a down dog. So you can also do that on the floor if you're used to that, doing that on the mat, but we can also do it with the chair. So we come into mountain pose. This is all about your back here, all about your back. Come into mountain pose, hands on your hips, bend your knees slightly, and just pause right there. So ground yourself, push down on your hips so that you can feel your legs are like tree trunks, grounding you. And now you can slide your hands down to your thighs, bending forward just a little bit, and round your back into cat pose. I think this is a little bit more difficult from a standing position, but you can sure feel your back this way. And then hands on your thighs. Start to lift your tailbone so it comes up behind you. And as it does, your belly will move forward and your shoulder blades will move back. And now you're in cow pose. And if you're on hands and knees, you've done it before, you know your alignment, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Now let's flow with our breath. Inhale to neutral. Exhale to cat pose. Tuck your tailbone. Ground your back. Inhale to neutral. Raise your tailbone, arch your back. Exhale, cow pose. Inhale, switch. Exhale, cat. Inhale, switch. Exhale, cow. 3 more times. Listen to your breath. Let your breath lead the way. One more of each. And then bring your spine back to neutral and lift yourself back up. If you're on your hands and knees, you can come into child's pose. If you're standing up on your mat, you're just in mountain pose. Child's pose and mountain pose are both resting poses. So if you haven't done these on the mat, you'll have to look at another video for instruction on that. All right. So downward facing dog, again, if you've done it before on the mat, you know what to do. If you're using the chair, you want your hands on the chair. Start to walk your feet back. Your chest comes down towards the floor. And your knees are slightly bent. And you're going to feel that in your upper back, your lower back, the backs of your legs. Let's take a couple more breaths. Now, if you're on the floor in downward facing dog, go ahead and drop your knees down and come into child's pose again. If you're using the chair, bend your knees, just like we did with chair pose. Bring your hands to your thighs and lift yourself up to mountain pose. So we're just doing 2 different resting poses. And then we're all going to come back into a sitting position. So if you would like to be on the floor for the last part, please feel free to come onto the floor with your legs crossed. Otherwise, go ahead and come into your chair. Just take a minute and get yourself grounded again. I know there's a lot of moving up, moving down. Sometimes that happens. So I'm going to do the last part on the floor. And if you're joining me on the floor, our very last relaxation pose is going to involve a chair. If you want to use it, you don't have to, but it's a nice little option here at the end. So sit up tall, whether you're on the floor or in the chair. Find your sitting bones. See if you can relax your shoulders. Relax your chest. Your arms and your hands. We're still going to do a few more little poses, and then we'll begin our cool down. So allow yourself this moment of peace. And we're going to do spinal rotations again. We're only going to do 3 on each side. And at the end of each 3, we're going to pause in a spinal twist. So it'll make sense once we start doing it. So if you're in your chair, you'll want to slide forward. We're all going to start by moving to the right. Slowly, mindfully, bring your chin down towards your right knee, around to the front, left knee, and back up. So that was one rotation. Exhaling down. Inhaling up. One more time. This time when you come up on the left side, pause there. So you're facing your left thigh and then turn your body. So now you're in a twist. And you can keep your head in neutral or slowly turn your head to the left. So notice how this twist feels compared to your first twist. Hopefully it feels a little less, you feel a little less resistance. Your body is warm. Muscles are more flexible, more willing. Just breathe into it. One more breath. And then we're going to repeat our spinal rotations in the other direction. So slowly come back towards your left knee. Bring your hands to your thighs. And as you exhale, your chin comes down towards your left knee, around to the front, and then inhale up on the right side. And exhale back down. One more time. And this time when you come up on the right side, again, pause, facing your right thigh, and then find your twist. And this is another place you can use your block if you like, and your back hand is on your block. These props come in handy on the days that you just don't feel like you've got it in you. They do help. Doesn't mean you're weak. It just means you accepting that we're not all perfect. We can't always do everything that we want to do. Boy, do we have to learn that lesson over and over. Breathe into it. One more breath. And then slowly come back to center. Once you're back in center, roll your shoulders a couple more times. We're going to do one more pose before we enter our final relaxation. So if you're in the chair, you're just going to lean forward. We're coming into a forward fold. If you're on the floor, you're going to straighten your legs out, sit up tall. Either way, we're sitting up tall to begin with, hinging at the hips as we come down towards our thighs. Just let your hands rest wherever they're comfortable. One last big stretch for your low back. The block is coming in handy again. You can bring your block between your legs, use it for your hands or not. You want to keep your back as flat as you can. That's going to lengthen your spine. It's going to lengthen all those muscles in your back. And then when you're ready to come up with your hands on your thighs, lift yourself up. And then if you're on the mat, go ahead and lay down on your back. If you're in the chair, slide back in your chair. I'm going to do the cool down on the floor, but we're all going to do the same thing. So if you're on the floor, you're going to want to move around till your back just totally relaxes and you feel the support of the floor underneath you. And you know you could just stay right here and not do anything else. You could just relax. And we're going to do the two warm-up poses that we did earlier, alternate knee to chest, straightening our leg, and then windshield wipers again for our cool down. So start by bringing your right thigh up towards your chest, using your strap if you like, and just pause right there. And I'm going to leave a couple of minutes at the very end if you want to do anything else. So just take a few breaths here. And then straighten your right leg out, flexing your foot, pressing into your heel. And then release your right foot back down. And switch sides, bringing your left leg up toward your chest. And if you know you're not able to get down on the floor, don't let this intimidate you, because you can do this in your bed. If you can lay on your back in your bed, you can do this pose here. Using a strap does help, especially if your back is inflamed. So you may not want to pull it up so high. You'll know. Go ahead and straighten your left leg and flex your left foot. And release, left foot back to the floor. And then it's windshield wipers again. So if you're in the chair, you know you want to slide forward a little bit, and you're just going to have small movements side to side, letting your legs move side to side. If you're on the floor, your arms can be out in a T position. Your hands can be resting under your ribs. And just let your legs move gently to start with, side to side. And if you feel like you have more room, like if you can stretch out a little more, go for it. When we learn to communicate with our own bodies, life becomes a whole lot more simple, because we know our edge. We know where our edge is. We don't have to think too much. We just listen. We just feel. So just move at your own pace, side to side. We'll just do that a couple more times on each side. And then eventually come on back to neutral. And this may be where you just want to rest. Maybe you're ready to just relax. No big deal. There are other poses you can do here on the floor. Figure 4, of course, crossing your ankle over your thigh. You can do this in the chair if it's comfortable for you. You want to make sure you do both sides. And I'm just demonstrating, I'm not holding. So take the next 2 or 3 minutes and do any kind of moving, any kind of stretching that you would like to do. Sometimes knees to chest feels good again. Sometimes you're just ready to rest. If you're on the floor, you're ready to rest, you're going to use the chair. This is an option. You're going to bring your feet up into the seat of the chair. Make sure you're nice and comfortable. And rest. This is very healing for your back. You've taken all the pressure off of your legs. You're being supported. The chair is supporting you either way. And you can just soften and let go. And find your breath again. So when you're ready, find your breath, begin to deepen your breath, and then start to move in any way that feels natural to you. Maybe it's your hands or your feet or your head. If your legs are in the chair, take your time moving yourself over onto your side. Maybe pause there for a few breaths on your side. If you're in the chair, just continue to move. And eventually, we'll all open our eyes. Take a couple of deep breaths. Bring your palms together at your heart. And bow your head. And give yourself a silent thank you. And then bring your arms out to the sides. And as you inhale, look up. Raise your arms. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. And as we bow forward, we thank each other. Namaste. Have a good day.